Impeachment. That's right, the impeachment proceedings have now officially been sent to the Senate. President Trump's impeachment trial will now begin. If 2/3 of the Senate find him guilty, he will be removed from office. But who are we kidding, guys? The Senate is majority Republican, so we all know that the Senate will vote to acquit President Donald Trump. The more interesting question is this. What are the ramifications of this whole impeachment process for the election? Does this mean the end of Trump's presidency, or will it only strengthen his re-election prospects for 2020? And is impeachment really the right strategy for the Democrats going into the election? So let's get right into it. How popular is impeachment really? Surely the shame of impeachment will hurt Trump at the ballot box. Looking at the polls, slightly more Americans support removing Trump from office than those that don't. It's about 50-50. But here's the thing. To win an American election, you need to win the most states, not the most votes. And if we look at the swing states, it's a whole different story. In every swing state, Arizona, Florida, Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, a majority of voters do not support impeachment. And these are the states you need to win the election. What makes things worse is that these numbers could go up if the Senate acquits Trump. And they probably will. To win an election, you don't just need to win people over from your own party. You need to win over independent voters. So how does impeachment play with independents? Around 43% of independents support removing Trump from office. But it's more complicated than that. Morning Consult did a survey of independents asking them about impeachment, and most independent voters see impeachment as more important to politicians and the media than to them. They have impeachment fatigue and see the constant bickering about impeachment as a symbol of everything that's wrong with American politics. On top of that, impeachment ranked as less of a priority for independent voters than healthcare, the deficit, infrastructure, and even building Trump's wall ranked higher than impeachment as a priority. Impeachment is a 50-50 issue that divides Americans, and it's not even a top priority. But a majority of Americans trust the Democrats to deal with healthcare. A majority of Americans trust the Democrats to protect Social Security. A majority of Americans trust the Democrats to handle climate change. A majority of Americans agree with the Democrats when it comes to gun control. If the Democrats want to win, they need to focus on the issues that are important to the American people, not on impeachment. Here's what we know about what impeachment does to a president's popularity. The most recent example, of course, is Bill Clinton.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
After his impeachment and subsequent acquittal, he went up in the polls, not down, because people largely saw this as a politically motivated partisan process that was based on nothing. The same could happen with Trump. In fact, this is exactly what happened after the Mueller report came out. People were expecting some smoking gun that showed Trump being a puppet of Russia. But all they got was a report saying that there was no conclusive evidence of coordination between Trump and Russia. This vindicated Trump in the eyes of the public, and using the slogan, "The collusion delusion," he was able to climb in the polls, and his approval rating went up. I see the same happening if the Senate acquits him. Trump will make himself seem like the victim, and make Democrats look like they're just trying to get rid of Trump because he's from the other party. What's more is that Trump's acquittal could fire up Trump's base, making them more angry at the Democrats and willing to show up to vote in November. We can already see this in Trump's fundraising numbers. The day the House voted to impeach Trump, his campaign raised $5 million in less than 24 hours. And if there's anything that wins elections, it's money. If the Democrats nominate a boring, uninspiring candidate, that could be enough for Trump to win. Okay, But even if that's true, surely the reasons that Trump is being impeached should hurt him in the election. Trump was impeached on 2 counts. Count 1 was for abuse of power. Trump basically abused his position as president to withhold aid from Ukraine if they did not give him dirt on Joe Biden to use in the election. The second count was for contempt of Congress because he refused to cooperate with Congress during the investigation. Is this really the best reason the Democrats could come up with to impeach Trump? I say no. What Trump did was bad and is clearly an abuse of power. However, Trump has been able to muddy the waters because his own scandal has been mixed up with that of Joe Biden. You see, the dirt that Trump wanted Ukraine to give him had to do with Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, who worked for a Ukrainian gas company. When Joe Biden was vice president, he pushed Ukraine to fire a certain prosecutor who was seen as corrupt. But the thing is, this prosecutor was investigating a gas company that Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, was working for corruption charges. Now, this may not have been the reason that Joe Biden wanted him fired, but it does look dodgy. And on top of that, Hunter Biden's son was hired to work for this gas company for a salary of $50,000 a month, despite the fact that he has no previous experience in the gas sector. It's almost as if the fact that he is the vice president's son helped him to get the job. This makes Joe Biden look bad. Joe Biden is most likely going to be the Democratic nominee who faces Trump in the election. But even though this impeachment process is meant to hurt Trump, it hurts Joe Biden as well, and the Republicans are going to use that against him. But it's not just that. There are so many other reasons, better reasons, that the Democrats could have used to impeach Trump. For instance, Trump violated the Emoluments Clause of the Constitution. The Emoluments Clause states that the president may not accept gifts or payments from foreign leaders. When Donald Trump became president, he did not separate himself from his business empire. And since he became president, countless foreign leaders have stayed at his hotels and estates, funneling millions of dollars into Trump's pockets through his businesses. And it has influenced him. A key example is Saudi Arabia. In 2017, Saudi lobbyists booked over 500 rooms in Trump's hotels in the space of 3 months. And in 2018, the Trump International Hotel in New York saw a 13% increase in revenue after Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman stayed there. So it comes as no surprise that after this, Trump went on to approve a $110 billion weapons deal with Saudi Arabia and downplayed the vicious killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi by the Saudis. This is corruption, plain and simple. Trump is using the presidency to enrich himself and allowing foreign leaders to influence him through payments to his hotels. Now, Democrats could have easily used this against Trump. Trump promised to
drain the swamp
and get rid of corruption. Yet here he is being corrupt himself. This is an impeachable offense, and Democrats could have used this to show that Trump broke his promise to the American people and became corrupt. But they missed the opportunity, and it will cost them in the election. Aside from that, they could have added the recent debacle with Iran. The US Constitution states that the president cannot just perform an act of war. It must be approved by Congress first. By assassinating the general of a foreign country, Iran, Trump committed an act of war without the approval of Congress, violating the Constitution, and surely an impeachable offense. And given how unpopular Trump's handling of the Iran situation is, it would have played well politically. But in the end, regardless of impeachment, impeachment cannot be what Democrats need to use in 2020. If Democrats want to win, they need to nominate someone who isn't just against Trump, but stands for something. Someone who is not part of the establishment, and someone who speaks to the bread and butter issues facing Americans, such as healthcare. if all Democrats have to offer is anti-Trump, then they will lose. Tell me what you think, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. 'Cause this was my take.